Okay. So welcome again, everyone. Welcome. My name is Leonor Murciano-Luna, and we're going to begin today with our voice medicine. We're going to go right into a process. I've been told that that is what people want. So we'll go into away from our heads and right into, we'll just dive deep and so we're going to begin with, going through the universal mothers with the elements and creating our sacred space. The work of the feminine is really about going into the body and having the experience. It's not really about the concept, even though, we need to understand. It gives us an opening to allow ourselves to kind of, dive deeply into these processes. But I'm going to guide you through the first and the second process. Hopefully we'll get through two processes today, two of the embodied rituals, the activations that we do with the feminine work. And so we'll talk about it later. I also want to leave some time for questions and answers to really, feel you, because that's kind of how I usually do my small groups. There's a lot of interaction, and I know with something like this that's, a little bit, we're still not at a big group, but if everybody shows up that registered, we'll have a much bigger group, and so it's harder to, give voice to everybody, but we'll definitely have some question and answer at the end. Okay, so let's just make sure that we have our elements here, it's really 5 elements, and we'll talk about that also. I'm going to, yes, that is my cat. She's around. She wants to climb on because you can't get to the window because I have the candles there. She's always in here with me. All right, I'm still letting people in. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, let's just kind of take a deep breath and let's just center ourselves for a second. And just take a deep breath. Let's just take this time here while everybody's coming in as we get started. So this is an invocation that I use, that I've been using for years, that came to me at the beginning of doing the work with the feminine. And so I always use it as a prayer, as an invocation at the beginning of any embodied process or ritual. An invocation to the Great Mother. I bow my head, heart, and womb to you, for you are the creatrix and the created. From your womb, the 10,000 things are born. I ask that you bring me close to you, awaken me, and keep me in your flow of divine grace. Hold me in your ecstatic presence while all veils dissolve, leaving only your whispering truth as my teacher. Let me drink from your cup of mercy and merge with you into the annihilation of my being, forever and ever, dear Mother. And just kind of come into your breath really gently, feeling your breath, feeling your body, shifting into your inner world for a second. And so as we do this, it's really important that we always set sacred space and our protective fields around us as we're merging with the inner dimension and the divine dimension. And so just set our intention to that we're going to create consciously those fields of protection around us. And so let's bring in our water to the, as I call them the universal mothers. And we won't go into that today because it's a whole other class, but that's part of the feminine path and conscious feminine medicine. This is where I have my water. I have some flowers in it, and we're just acknowledging the water, the ocean, the mother ocean of love, and the water, which is the water of life, and the water that is in our body. So we're about 70% water or more. Our essential oils is our earth, comes from the earth. Whatever essential oils you brought today, I like to work a lot with rose and of course frankincense and sandalwood. And if you take your essential oils, the earth mother that helps us to ground, helps us to feel rooted here physically, bridge the divine dimension and our physicality. And just bringing it to, if you want to anoint your 3 wombs, just your head womb, your heart womb, and your sacral womb, which is your pelvic area. And then we have our incense, which we use as our air element because of the smoke. And the smoke in many traditions is also, in the Jewish tradition, the smoke is said to be the Shekinah, the feminine aspect of the divine. And the smoke, if we don't have incense, it's fine. We're breathing. So we're breathing, and it's a bridge. The breath is also the bridge between the divine and our physical self or physical reality. So I do have my favorite way of doing it with the charcoal, and I'm just using some mugwort. I have a little bit of the amber and dragon's blood, and you can just use this for your space, to clear the space, to connect to the divine realms. And so go ahead and do that now if you did bring it in, and if not, allow yourself to connect with your breath. If you'd like to use sage is another one, and we're using all of this in deep reverence and respect. And so as you do that, whether you're doing it with your breath or whether you're doing it with the herbs, and allow yourself to take a deep breath and to envision, as you breathe, the expansion of that light, of your light, and of all the light coming in around you as a protective field around you. Let yourself feel that. And if you also, we're going to be invoking the Ancestral Motherline in a minute. But if you have your beings of light that you work with and your guides, allow yourself to also bring that in now. And these are beings of light that are in service to the light and the higher and your highest good. And I make that distinction because there's a lot of beings on a lot of levels that's not what we're doing here, and that's not what we're inviting in. And so we want to make sure that you feel your field clear, and that you feel safe, and that you feel the light and the peace and the love around you. with the water, I also sometimes use the water, touch the water, and also use it on all of the gateways. If you want to do that, you anoint yourself. And also, do not forget the back of your body. Back of your body is also really important. All the gateways open, the chakra gateways open to both sides. So, and then we have our fire. And we have our fire, so if you haven't lit your candle, light your candle now and let this be another layer of light and protection from the fire, which in the feminine path we call her the dragon mother. And the fire is, of course, not just outside of us, but also within us in all of our processes. And it's that spark of life, our life force. It's our fire. So light the candle and let's take a couple of seconds with that. Again, envisioning another layer of light and protection within you, around you. This is your sphere. And as you do that, I'm going to just invoke a couple of prayers of light. And these are actually in Arabic. And you just allow as you're feeling it, and these are prayers of light that connect us to the cosmic womb and the great mother. And as you feel them, just allow yourself to keep expanding that light of protection around you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahman-Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. Beautiful. There's a lot of light here. So you guys are carrying a lot of light, so much beauty, so much love in this group. So nice to be here. Thank you all for joining, if I didn't say that already. Thank you all for being here. Okay. Next, I'm going to use the drum and a sacred drum for an invocation. And I'm going to do it first, and then I'm going to guide you through the process. I'm just going to do the invocation first. This is one of the ways that we use our voice in the voice medicine. So if this is something that you will be doing, if that's something that you resonate with, this is something that we would be doing in our program. And this is another invocation, and this connects, my experience is that this is the way that we connect to our ancestral mother line, which we're going to talk about later. I'm going to take you through a process first. So just taking a deep breath. And just if you feel comfortable, if you feel safe, let yourself close your eyes and bring one hand to your heart, to your right hand to your heart, and your left hand to your womb, to your sacral womb, lower abdomen, pelvic area. And let yourself just breathe there for a minute. And as you do that, just be aware of your inner world right now. And as you breathe, we're going to allow ourselves to connect to our ancestral motherline and the wisdom keepers of that line. So it's our own line, it's our own lineage, but we're going back all the way back, at least 5,000 years, which puts us at 3000 BC, which is pre-patriarchy, before patriarchy changed a lot of things. And at this time, and all of the time before, right up to that moment, and it wasn't one moment, it was a process, but up to that time, about 5,000 BC, 5,000 years ago, most of the culture, most of the people on the planet were devoted to what they call the Great Mother. And the Great Mother was really the divine realm. It was also the cosmic womb. It was also the divine essence that's all around us and that is within us. And there was no separation. It wasn't like it's just the divine realm is out there. You know, there was no separation. We each saw ourselves as part of that mystery. We each saw ourselves as part of that web of life. We each acknowledged that the mystery was in our bodies as we give birth and as we, leave this world. We each acknowledged that the mystery was in the plants, it was in the earth, it was in the water. It was in, of course, the sun, the moon. And the moon was actually what we looked at towards the sky to kind of guide us in its different phases of new moon, dark moon, full moon, and then it would disappear for 3 days and then it return. That was the dark moon, and then return as the crescent moon. And so we all felt or connected with this sacredness and this rhythm of life that we felt held by, connected, and supported. And there was a lot of reverence to this. And of course, we've lost a lot of this in the culture that we're in now. Slowly, it has eroded this belief, this truth, and we've come into separation. And this is part of what we're reclaiming now. This is part of what we're reclaiming as a feminine consciousness is awakening through all of us here on the planet. And so going back within ourselves, within our own consciousness, and connecting to our mother line, our Matirja. It's called Matirja, is the name of mother line in the Proto-Celtic language that was used before the languages that we're all used to now. Matirja. And at some point in our lineage, we have ancestors that are fully in the light, that are fully in the wisdom, that are fully in oneness, and that have not been affected by any of the collective trauma. So sometimes we have to go back, 5,000, maybe 10,000 years. We don't know. And it doesn't really matter, because what we're doing here today is we're just calling up those ancestors in our mother line. So the mother of our mother, the mother of her mother, the mother of her mother, and all the way back. And just allow yourself for a minute to invite, if you feel comfortable and safe, and everything that I say is optional and always follow your wisdom. But the invitation here is to call in our mother line and the wisdom ancestors that are in the light, that are fully in oneness, that are not in any separation or affected by any trauma. And just call in and see if there's one that is a representative, one that wants to come forward. It's kind of like the one that is at the end of that enlightenment, series in our lineage, right? The one that is closest to us relatively. And just see if you can invite them in. And as you do this, you might see, you might just feel, you might have a sense, you might not see or feel. So not everybody has these channels open to have a direct experience in this way. Your way might be just sensing, like you sense the peace and the love. Or you might feel their warmth behind you. Like I feel the grandmothers in white behind me right now. But those are in my lineage. And so just see what you notice, or just notice what you feel in your body as you invite, and have patience. So for some of you, this might be the first time you do this. Some of you have done many different processes like this before. But just have patience and just breathe. And as you're doing that, let yourself bring both hands to your womb space. And just drop into your womb, your sacral womb, knowing that through your whole lineage of the mother line, you are carrying that in your blood. You're carrying their essence in your DNA. And we carry both, right? The pleasant and the unpleasant, the oneness, the light and the darkness, and the trauma and the pain. But for today, we're going to connect with the light. We're going to connect with the oneness, with the divinity, the divine realms. And that comes through, and that's passed on through the womb, from womb to womb to womb to womb to womb. So let yourself feel. And if you're able to, I'd like you to ask this guide of yours, just ask, what is one of the secrets of my mother's line, of my ancestral mother line? One of the secrets, one of the strengths that you can share with me in this moment. That I may not be aware of, or that I may need to hear in this moment. And just allow yourself to listen. It might be one word, it might be whole sentences, it might be a feeling. And as you do that, as you're listening, because a big part of this process is about listening, as you're listening, we're going to be doing some sound. And I'm going to explain that later. Let's just do the process now. And so we're just listening. We're going to start. Everybody is muted, hopefully. And we're going to start with just humming. Very, very softly with the M, as you do when you're kind of humming. And as you're humming, I want you to just, it's almost like you're asking, you're listening, and then you're just humming into whatever's here, whatever is showing up for you, whatever is being transmitted, whether you're aware of it or not. And so I'm going to do it with you a little bit. drum. See if when you hum, if you can send those vibrations right into your womb and letting it expand from there. And then just pause for a minute and just see what you notice. Maybe you're aware of something else that comes in. See what you notice. There you go. Maybe there's more than one gift they want to share in this moment, or she wants to share. And maybe there's just a feeling. And just take whatever you're noticing. Just let yourself be open and receive without any particular expectation of how it has to look. And then now we're going to use the ooh, which is another sound that we use a lot to connect and to work with the sacral womb. Ooh. Ooh. And see if you can organically, not without forcing yourself, go deeper and deeper into the ooh sound, meaning not just energetically, but also with the sound, using a lower and lower tone. See if organically, so we're not forcing anything. Ooh. Maybe taking a pause when you feel ready, or you can continue as well. Again, listening to your sovereignty, listening to what feels right for you in any given moment. Beautiful. And bringing your hands to your womb and just being with that. And sometimes there's movement. Sometimes there's swaying of the body because the energy is moving you. Let yourself move if that feels organic. We're not forcing anything. We're not forcing anything. We're allowing ourselves to move, but it's like really the energy is moving us. The light is moving us. As we move, as we intend to move deeper and merge with our divine self, with our feminine soul, and listening to this ancestral guide that is here for you. And so just breathing that in. And then we're going to kind of come to a closing with this particular activation. And so we want to really bow in gratitude to the guide, whether, regardless of what you personally have received or that you're aware of, I'd like to say, because sometimes this will keep unfolding for the next few days, and it might come in your dreams. It might be at any time you might start to get some wisdom or epiphany. So there's a process sometimes of this layering that happens through your consciousness. So we just want to bow in gratitude in this moment. And realizing that we carry the medicine, that we have this ability to connect with our divine self, our divine realm, because we are divine. We are made of the divine. And we also have the ability to safely receive and connect with our lineage and be supported, especially in the place where we might feel, disconnected or separated, or where we don't belong. There might be that place in our heart where we really feel the disconnection from the divine realms because we've lived in that isolation for such a long time. So our soul is thirsty for it. And yet there's a way to do it where we want to feel safe. Safety is the key, because there's been, part of the collective trauma for women is that we don't feel safe. We haven't felt safe. And for good reason, right? For good reason. It's not like we made it up. We haven't felt safe. And all of the, even if we have a lot of freedom now, a lot of the collective trauma still lives in our body, in our DNA. And if you're here and you're attracted to this and you came on this, you are part of the group on earth that is here to transmute that, to transform that within yourselves. But as you do it within yourselves, you're really doing it for the collective, and for all women, and for all men, and for all sentient beings on the planet, because it's not just for us. So a lot of what we feel, it's not even personal. It's not even personal trauma. And there is personal trauma. I'm not saying there isn't. But there might be layers and layers of other stuff. Just call it stuff that we feel that has a lot to do with the past. And it's not something that we can do, that we can process in our own bodies either, by ourselves. So when we're bringing in, when we're able to connect with our ancestral motherline, the wisdom keepers that are in wholeness, that are in oneness, we are kind of bridging the gap, right? Like bookends. We're here in an embodied form, and they're there in the etheric form, but they've been here. They've been here. And then there's a whole other support and process that happens when we start to bridge. So we're getting support on the divine realms. And and a lot of us, through most of our spiritual practices. We're used to, calling on support, but we're used to calling on the universal support, the ones that we know, like, Mother Mary or Magdalene or, Buddha or Jesus, or, and those are all enlightened beings, or, some of the, there's so many. They're all flooding in right now. But the point is that, and yes, we can, always work with those. They're here for us. But there's a lot of power in our own line, in our own ancestral line. And there's this way in which, when we're connecting to our ancestral mother line, there's a different belonging that happens. There's a different connection that we feel part of, because we instinctually feel this disconnection, like we've been disconnected, and our line has been disconnected. And so we may feel that already unconsciously. And so that starts to get healed when we connect with our mother line. But it's really important to go into the wisdom keepers and the ones that are in the light, because that's where we can really be served and supported. Yeah. What are you doing? So I started by saying that we should be in gratitude, and I know I went into a little bit of a talk. That's what happens. And so just allow yourself to be in gratitude for whatever you've received in this moment, and know that it can and it will keep opening for you, and just invite that in. Beautiful. So I'm going to pause here in terms of our process and embodied ritual. And I think, there's so much that can be said. So I think I'm going to open it up for some questions and answers. And if you'd like to come on, I think we're a small enough group. I'll put it on gallery, that we can, just ask any questions about anything that you want, and then we'll continue. And we're going to go into a different process as well, the womb activation. Yeah, with sound, obviously. That's why we're here. We're here with sound, but it's so much more than sound. Yeah, we can also talk about sound and the drum.
Yes.
But any questions? Yes. Any questions at all?
Yes.
Yes. Hi.
Yes. Hi. No questions,
Answer
actually.
it. I may or may not be able to answer it. We'll see. We'll see what comes in.
I'm not muted, right?
No, you're
No.
not.
Okay. No, actually it's not a question. It's just I just wanted to share wow. First of all, I'm still in this process, so I want to quickly go back in. But this is so beautiful. Like my womb, my sacral is literally like pulsing. It's vibrating. I didn't, I'm the first one to go back 5,000 years, that. But I didn't. I actually went back. I literally could see the year 1800. And what's really remarkable is that I could see my great, great, great grandmother's womb that literally like exploded.
Wow.
And somewhere a long time ago, I recall hearing something about one of these ancestors that was forced to have way too many children, and her womb just, yeah, there was a major issue, and I think she died that way. And I don't know if I'm like imagining this or what, but I felt that. I went into that space, and I was able to offer her healing and love, and was able to soothe her. And that's really what it was about for me. But it was so powerful. And it was like, in a sense, I'm soothing and healing myself. And, I've got my drum, my tambourine, actually. And I'm just going off, and I just have to tell you, I can't even articulate this properly because I'm still very much in this process, but it's very beautiful. And I just want to say thank you so much. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh,
Thank you. I got it. I got it. Thank you.
beautiful.
That's it.
Yeah, and I just want to say that 1800 years back, I mean, okay, yeah, that isn't 5,000. That's about almost 4,000. So, yeah. Because remember, we're 2,000 in on this side. So, when I say 5,000 ago, is really around 3,000 BC. But anyway, yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I see your hand, Mary. However, I want to answer Crystal. Um, yes, this can be done with our father's line as well, of course. Yeah, and it's and it's a little different, right? So some of the themes are going to be a little bit different. So, but yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Mary.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Lenore. I Today I had some anxiety when I woke up, and general region of throat,
Mm,
and the wooing helped it, which it was interesting for me because woo is for the womb, but it's helped my voice. And you kind of completed the book that I am writing. The storyline was very aligned with the book that I have been writing, and but I can't. And when I did the woo, my whole ancestor line on my mother's side illuminated with white light.
mm,
And I did try to connect to the person 5,000 years ago because she's in my book. The book starts there. And I don't know. I feel like I need to go back and that's what also it's in my book. I am going back, healing everyone and coming
right.
here. And I become healed, and
Beautiful.
I'm in that process. And I feel like this did. I don't know if it's completely healed. I put that intention that this is gonna heal my voice completely,
Mm,
and I feel that it moved.
yeah.
That it's moved, but we'll see. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're
It
welcome.
was beautiful, and yes, I did look at my father's side, but as soon as I wanted to look at it, it all turned black. So
Mm,
I just stayed with my mother's side for now.
yes. Good idea. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much.
Karen, do you have a question?
Just a reflection. Is this a
Sure.
good time to
Yeah,
reflect?
sure.
Okay. I also wanted to say hello and thank you so much for facilitating this. I'm going to need to leave early, but I did want to contribute just a little bit of what came through for me.
Sure.
I went to the stars,
Mm,
and it was interesting when I went back to find the pure, it actually took me beyond Earth into the stars. And the name I got was Astara,
mm,
Astara. And I felt that there at one time was a misalignment through the stars of what came in to create, through which to create the light and the love. And that this was a point that I could touch into where there was a purity
yeah.
and a remembrance, just enough of a remembrance,
Right.
how to align the star of my being with
Yeah.
the star of a pure light that is never touched
Mm,
by what we go through so often in our humanity.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions or reflections? Okay. So I wanted to, well, for those that don't know me, I guess a proper introduction might be good now. Maybe not. I don't know. Do we really need it? I know most people on here. A few I don't. A couple. My name is Dr. Leonor Murciano-Luna, and my work is really this kind of work with on a psychological basis, on the spiritual, and kind of everything in between, right? Physical, emotional. I am a spiritual healer and teacher. I'm also an integrative doctor, and I do a lot of work with women, and I've been doing this work for about 25 years, and I also write about it. So I'm a writer. I really feel very passionate about writing and reclaiming our feminine spirituality and the feminine wisdom through our lineage and through ourselves, really. And so in my work, I use a lot of voice and sound, and a lot of the mystical traditions. I've really had a lot of time. I spent a lot of time going through different traditions and wisdom teachings, and about 13 years ago, everything kind of, like what Arati was saying, everything kind of exploded in a way. And it was really a crisis of it wasn't dark night of the soul. I think it was more like a dark years of the soul. It was quite long, and it was a few years. And this is when I had to it's like I had to release everything I knew. I had to really let go of everything and like be in the not knowing, in the mystery, in the darkness, but not so much the darkness that we fear, but the darkness of our own space, in the stillness, in the mystery. And then little by little, I kind of started to receive, and I was really guided at that point by the feminine. Now, I didn't know that at the moment, but I kind of knew, a little bit, and then I just kind of started to follow. And this has really been, it was really like a 4 or 5 year integration process with all of that. And I think that was a little long. Could have been shorter, but really there's no real time in many ways. There's always this evolutionary process happening, and like the sound, I kind of went back to sound. I had let go of sound. I was very into music and sound growing up, and then that all kind of stopped when I was around 15. And then I came back into sound and incorporated sound and art probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And even that's been really opening, and then there's another layer, and then it's like, okay, now we're working with the ancestral line and the mother line. And when I first used the drum, used the sacred drum, which is here, this is one of the drums I use, I could see like the visions when I literally started playing the drum. I could see the vision was this group of women around the fireplace, in ancient time, and they were the healers and the drummers. And I had already, really read about and understood all of these concepts. I had read the book of Lane Redman, when the drummers were women, which really talks about how in ancient times and all throughout history even, the first drummers were women. And they used to gather, and that is also in our feminine lunar era, which is, from up to 5,000 years back. The healers, the shaman, the shamaness, they were all women. They were all women because women were connected to these divine realms in the mystery of the birth, and the mystery of death, and the mysteries of in between. They were the herbal curators. They were the ones that, bled. They were the ones and are the ones that were connected to the mystery and could channel the mystery and could channel the divine realms through them more easily. And I'm not saying that it's only women, but it's women have this capacity. And then, of course, throughout the whole advent of patriarchy, it's been cut off. And so the drum for me was a really, that's when the ancestral mother lineage started to come in. And then recently they're very, very strong. They're like, it's time, like they really want to come in and work with us. And so now I'm like literally publicly working with it more and more, because till now it was a very much more private thing. But the drum, so that's why I use a lot of the sacred drum, and the sound and the voice is another way that if we use the voice in a way where we're not using language, but we're just using it organically, it helps to first of all, it's how that was used with the healers and of the feminine lunar era, of when we go back to the women healers. And it's also how it really transmutes, it really transforms. I mean, all of the spiritual traditions know this. That's why chants are always used, and songs, and all different ways in which sound is used to alchemize, right? Because it's vibration and it's frequency. And so I've been using sound in this way, and it's just so much more powerful than just kind of not using it. It's not, we still use intention, we're still, using our consciousness. Oh, and by the way, that was the fifth element. We didn't talk about it because we went right into the process. We're still using our consciousness and our intention, because where we focus, that expands. And so there's a lot of power behind our consciousness, but when we're combining it with sound, we're able to really, it's like we're bringing in a frequency in to the density, to where we're holding trauma, where we're holding conditioning in our nervous system, in our body, in our psyche, on any level, on all levels, because there's no real separation. And then it's able to break through. It's almost like you're infusing it with light, and then the density can break through the stagnation, the constriction, we call it sometimes. So this is why I feel so passionate about sound and about our healing with sound, because it just accelerates it so much. That's just a little bit about me and about the work. Let's see, what else do I want to say? I want to leave enough time to do another womb activation. I want you all to feel this work. And, as you all know, because it was on the registration, we're going to start our second cohort of this particular, of doing the voice medicine, And this particular voice medicine 5-week program is going to be a little different because it's the first time that we're bringing in and working with our Ancestral Motherline. So we're going to be doing that along with it. It's going to be a 5-week process. We're going to do a lot of different activations with the feminine medicine. We're going to also do the feminine medicine songs so that you guys can learn how to do that and connect with your ancestors and bring that through and bring the medicine through that they have for you. And also, which is really in you, it's in your DNA, it's your medicine. And also if you're, working with other people so that you can also start to incorporate this into your own modalities. So the voice medicine is part of the bigger practitioner program that we're going to be launching next year. So this is part of the healing school and part of the program itself. But I'm doing it in kind of like these small bits so that we can kind of take it, integrate it, and then use it however it is that we're working with others, because I feel like this medicine really needs to, be activated within us and then be taken outside to the outer world. So we can take questions on that after, but let's go into another process, and then we'll go into a little bit more of the 5-week, and I can stay a little bit longer if there's questions about that as well. All right, so allow yourself to kind of come back into your inner world, your inner realm, and close your eyes if you feel comfortable. And we're going to start with a little bit of the sound. And I want you to connect with your womb space again. If you want to bring your hands there. Just let yourself breathe here for a second. And again, noticing that your space is still clear all around you. And if you need to bring in more light as a layer of protection, then go ahead and do that and just invite that in. Invite in another layer of light around us where we can feel safe, where we know we're protected. And we invite the light beings and our guides that are here, that are in the light, to really allow us to feel this extra layer of protection and light. And if you're sitting and you have your feet on the floor, go ahead and feel your feet on the floor. Feel your feet anchored to Mother Earth. And feel the gravity, feel her love. And if you don't have your feet on the floor, then feel it in your root, in your base, in your sitting bones. Let yourself feel that going down into the earth, from your root chakra all the way into the earth. Feeling supported. Yeah. And then also imagine your light beings, your guides that are your light guides also behind you, kind of like really holding that field, that circle, that sphere around you, and within your space and like up to 5 feet out from your physical body, there's nothing in your field. only love and light. Beautiful. And then bring your hands to your womb. And then let yourself just breathe into your womb space. And as you're breathing into your womb space, see if you can feel the air there, like taking in the air and letting that whole area expand as you breathe in. And so as we're doing it, you know, we all have energetic wombs, right? All of us, male and female, women and men. We have 3 wombs, which is part of the framework that I use in our feminine medicine school and teachings. We have the 3 wombs, and this predates all the way back to pre-Taoist and the lineage of the Wu healers that I work with a lot, which is one of my lineages from ancient Chinese medicine and the pre-Taoist work. And the Wu healers were the women dating back 28,000 years ago. It was an oral lineage of the women that were shamans and healers and ecstatic dancers and worked with sound and energy. And so the 3 wombs, which is our sacral womb, our heart womb, and then our upper head womb, we all have that, men and women. However, for women, of course, we have the physical womb, and then we're connecting all of this also with the physiology, because all of this affects our physiology, which I know I didn't get to talk about, but it does affect our physiology. It does affect, you know, our energetic, our, you know, wherever we're holding conditioning, beliefs about ourselves, unworthiness, etc., that we've been passed down through the lineage, or fear, or shame, etc. It disrupts our physiology. It disrupts the hormones. It disrupts our all of the different biochemicals in our body, the biochemistry. And so this disruption then causes, you know, states of different diseases and different imbalances physically and of course emotionally. And you know, we go into different states of depression or anxiety, etc. So part of this work is about healing, but not just healing, you know, energetically or psychically, but really healing physically and emotionally, bringing the healing all the way through, bringing the new, balanced, restored state of harmony in our system all the way through to our physiology. So when we're now putting our hands on our womb, we're connecting, we're really bringing in all those levels as women. We're bringing in all those levels, and we're intending the healing to move into all those levels and wherever it's needed. And for some of us, it might be more physical, for others, might be more emotional. For others, more of the soul, you know, the soul ache that we feel of disconnection and, you know, all the other aspects of pain that we might be feeling. So, and and the wisdom, the intelligence of your body and your soul and your spirit and your divine realm knows where it's needed, you know. So it's not like you have to always direct it. On the contrary, it's like we're getting out of the way and we're allowing the intelligence within us to take over, the intelligence of the divine realm, the wisdom. So as we bring our hands to our womb, now we're bringing in with all of this awareness, right? And I'm going to do a medicine song. And what you're going to do is we're going to sound organically from whatever we're feeling in our womb that wants to, you know, that wants to heal. And I know I read on here that someone was saying that they felt how disconnected they were, you know, that they couldn't connect to their lineage. And so, you know, that disconnection of not knowing a lot about your lineage may bring in, you know, the history, may bring in sadness, may bring in that sense of loneliness, you know. So I want you to just feel what's in your womb, and we're going to bring in some love. We're going to bring in some love into this space. And if you did connect with an ancestral of your mother line, allow yourself to receive the love from them as well, if that feels appropriate for you. And I know we haven't done any real training here, so they may not feel appropriate, and that's fine. We're going to be using other tools as well. So I'm going to sound, and then I'm going to pause, and then you're going to sound. And we're going to do this back and forth. I'm still going to drum in between, but I'm not going to sound. And what we're sounding is we're using any sound we want. And of course, I'm going to demonstrate that for you because I'll go first. And what we're doing is we're sounding from the womb, almost like you're saying, like you're communicating whatever it is you're feeling, whatever the story has been. You're giving it expression. You know, whatever there's sorrow, the pain, the sadness, the fear, the shame, whatever comes up for you, and it can change, you know, as you're expressing it with sound. And you don't have to stop when I do it. I mean, I'm just doing this so it's easy. It's like I go, you go, I go. But if you want to sing right through mine, that's fine too. It's like follow your wisdom. Okay, here we go. to pause there. I'm aware that some people might want to continue, and you can continue on your own after. For the sake of time, we're going to pause there and just feel. Just feel what's shifted. What are you noticing? What are you feeling in your heart? You want to bring your right hand to your heart, maybe your left hand on your womb. Just noticing what's opened. What's open for you. What's moving. What are you aware of now? Knowing that it's all in perfect, divine perfection in this moment. And that whatever arising, even if you're in the constriction and the difficulty, it's here because it wants to be received in the love. It wants to, and that's how it transmutes. So just giving space for something that might be unpleasant. And if you've moved through and there's more opening and there's more light, then you can welcome that. It's a lot easier. But giving room, especially if this is not something you've done a lot of, sometimes we hit places, and maybe you're somewhere in between, right? Maybe a little bit of both, and you can see where the constrictions are, where the pockets are, and there's still a lot of light and love and peace. And this is the medicine, the love, the light, and the peace. I really want to say this is your medicine. This is who you are, and this is what's there, and this is what we, the feminine path is all about, uncovering and living in a place where we are also connected to the divine realm and to our divine nature, right? Not just when we're doing ceremony or when we're doing ritual or when we're doing meditation or a practice, but to allow it, to cultivate this aspect of us enough where we can be in it and live from that place, live from the higher realms, right? But still very grounded in the physical reality, right? Still very grounded here. Not, in avoidance of, not outside our body, really in our body. And, what happens, first of all, we are a culture that lives outside of our body or in our heads, and that's rewarded. And second of all, our bodies might be places where we're not so comfortable because we hold all of the collective trauma there. It's in our body, it's in our nervous system. So we will do a lot to not be in our bodies. We will do a lot. We will, use substances consciously and unconsciously, whether it's sugar or alcohol, drugs, and, and it all has a place. I'm not saying that sugar might not have a place, but, natural sugars do. But the whole point is that we might need, we've needed a lot of this to survive, right? Because sometimes it's a lot. It's a lot. It's very intense. And yet there's ways to move in with the love and the safety. And we cultivate the safety on one hand, and then we bring that into the places that are uncomfortable so that we can break those pockets and then merge, right? It's like this divine marriage of our divine self, our soul, and our humanity and our, personality. And then one informs the other, right? So we're not like making changes because we should do this, or we should, stay positive and things like that we do, where we actually see ourselves, see our personalities change, because we're not, that fear, that shame, that trauma that was informing those ways of acting and being in the world aren't there anymore. So when we resolve those from the root, we can be more of our authentic self. We can be more in the love, but not because we're forcing it, and it's not a behavioral, psychological process. It's an organic embodiment of the love, of our true essence, of what I call the 7 embodiments of our soul, of our feminine soul, which are wisdom, the creatrix, creativity, the medicine as the healer, the love, the wild woman, which brings in the expression, our ability to express from that place. Our seer, which is the mystery, which is our 6th chakra, and the ecstatic bliss, the ecstatic feminine, which is our crown. So all 7 of these are part of our essence, and these we can all embody and be and live from. And of course, there's many variations of that. That's just the framework that I use, that we can kind of grasp in a way easier. And so we will be working with those in the 5-week, and I work a lot with the different chakras, the different sounds for the chakras, but also the weaving in and healing of these areas and the 3 wombs. So it's sound for healing, it's sound for transformation. Like I said, we will be working with some framework for bringing in the Ancestral Motherline and bringing in the gifts, so activating those gifts within you. And so I'm aware that it's 11:30, which is pretty good, because I was for sure we were going to go over time, and we're still going to go over time if you want to. I want to open it up for questions. And let's see. I also want to say the last thing, maybe not the last thing, but the last thing I can remember right now about the 5-week course. We're going to start, it's going to be Saturday mornings, and we're going to start next Saturday. We're not going to do a whole lot of the frame drum, because the frame drum, I already have online that program, and some of you have taken that, which is learning the 5 elements with the frame and how to play the frame drum. However, we're not going to be going into that, because it's only a 5-week, and if you really want that, you can just get it online first, and that has a whole booklet with it, and it gives you exercises to do, and it's also voice, but this is kind of like, I would say it's almost like the 2nd level of that, but we're doing it now. However, for those of you that have taken that one, we are going to go deeper into, and for the first time, go into the Ancestral Motherline, working with the guides, and with the women, and also really focusing on the feminine medicine songs, bringing that through, and whatever your medicine is, because each one of us, has a different flavor of the love, has a different flavor of the peace, the activation, their medicine, is different for each one of us. So Saturday mornings, 10:30, and we could do a 3 payment, even though it's 5 weeks, we can do a 3 payment of $132. If anybody needs that, they have to email me directly, because I have to set it up. Other than that, you can also register online. So I want to open it up. I'm going to open it up here. And questions, reflections, I'm going to read Crystal says, that was such a beautiful process. You're welcome. Thank you so much. At first I was judging my voice and my flow and frustrated that I have again forgotten myself and my voice. However, I was able to release that and flow into the rhythm, and there was a moment where I opened my eyes and remembered there are other women here with me in their homes tapping into the same wisdom and healing, and felt so held and connected and started to cry. Oh, you're making me cry. I thought I was going to get away with this and not crying. I always cry. It's a really great release, and yet, you know, there's still the judgments. In their homes, tapping into the same wisdom and healing, and felt so held and connected and started to cry hard. Thanks, Leonor and other feminine beings on this call. I resonated with being in the dark night of the soul for a few years. It's been extremes of light and darkness. Yes, I can resonate with that. Extremes of light and darkness. Right, so that's why I'm so about bridging that, right? Bridging that into integrating. You know, this keyword integration has really kind of lit up in my consciousness in the last, I don't know, couple of years. It's like integration. It's like, oh, okay. You mean there's a better way to do this? When I'm not connected to my voice, I feel so free. When I'm connected to my voice, I feel so free. When I don't feel stuck, I'm sorry, I'm really messing this up. I feel so free, and when I don't, I feel stuck, and it becomes hard to reconnect. Thanks for this beautiful medicine. Yes. And so as we move through the gateways, you know, each of the gateways are, again, they're also bridges into our divine realm. When I say our divine realm, I mean like the divine realm that we are, right? Our soul, our essence, our spirit, and the divine realm, because there's a place in which those two connect. However, when we go into the gateways, they are the bridges, right? They're the subtle body that connects those two. And so if there's a lot of, you know, conditioning, pain, trauma, etc., constrictions in these, then we can't express, you know, we can't express and be in these higher states. We can't be in this ecstatic bliss if we've got all of this other stuff in our, you know, head and our crown, and we can't be in that if we're, you know, especially our throat. And there's so much, you know, even physically, there's so much thyroid issues. I mean, I've had and worked with thyroid for such a long time with myself. That's why the voice is so key, and it's part of our expression, you know, that's been shut down because it wasn't safe. So we have to create the safety, and we have to, you know, along with opening those places, you know, it goes hand in hand. Thank you so much, Crystal, for sharing that. It was something else that I wanted to say. Judgment of our voice. Yes, we judge ourselves so much. That's part of what, you know, in our shutting down, like I know that we do this, you know, it's like a protection mechanism, right? Because if we weren't, you know, if there was danger, if we showed and shared, you know, our natural intuitive self, our natural instinctive self, then there was danger, you know, we could be executed, and we hold that fear in our, you know, DNA. And so we shut down, and then we make ourselves wrong, so that, you know, it's a protective mechanism. It's part of a trauma response. We judge ourselves, we criticize ourselves, but it's the intelligence that allowed us to survive. And so now it's like we're unraveling that, you know, and it's like, and finding our safety. Right? I keep coming back to safety because I feel, this cat wants to come up. Let me bring her up. I feel that the safety, here she is. There's the baby. She's not the baby, she's like the matriarch of the house. The safety is key. You know, it's what needs to be there in order for us to bridge those realms, you know. Yeah, I think I said that a few times. questions or anybody want to share about anything? No questions. Yeah, no questions. Okay, well, I hope that you, no, I don't take medication. And you can come on screen if you want to, because it's a real small group now.
I do have I wanted to say that when we first started, and probably I still have it, um, it I felt that the fear in my heart. It's something that's always there.
Yeah,
Whenever I get to it, I tap into it.
mm-hmm.
My heart wants to collapse.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Well, this is part of what I was saying, that the safety is so important. I can relate to that. I lived with that, and I'm also aware that is part of, the collective lineage, in the lineage, that fear, the fear of survival, the fear of not being safe. And that, that for me is the priority, and that's probably why it's taken so long for me to work with the ancestors in this way, because to go into those realms, like I was always felt like I was bombarded with those realms, and I always felt no protection. And so it's, taken me a long time to figure out what it is that I need to feel safe and how to create that framework. And it's a big deal. And so that, that's why the safety is so important. And that's something that we really go over in, that we will cover extensively, because without that safety, we can't penetrate those places that feel really, like death, really. They feel like, unsafe to the extreme, which is terror, which is, those kind of places I'm talking about, which, unfortunately I have a lot of experience with. Yeah. I had a near-death experience at 6.5, and, and I consciously went through many of those realms. And that was, even though it was really difficult, because it was blissful on one level, but it was not blissful on many other levels. In other words, I had to face my fears at that time, which I didn't process it for until I got into my 40s. But the point being that, well, I'm not sure what the point is, but the point, for some reason, that came up, and it's, I guess, to really express that I get it, I understand, and, dealing with those places, I think that we all, I think most of us have that as women, because it's been in the collective for thousands of years that we don't feel safe. I know the men hold it, it's not that the men don't hold pain, but they hold it, there's a whole different way, and, that they deal with their pain, and that their themes are about, that are differently. And so, most of us have that place. And most of us, you need a certain level of willingness and, again, safety. And we can go in there, and that's part of my passion. Like, I had to kind of pick and choose from different traditions and different pieces, and then and then weave it all together, and there is a way to go in there safely in your light, and to start to build that trust, and where the trust and the love is greater than the fear. And it starts to dissolve that fear very gently. It doesn't have to be harsh. It doesn't have to be, I know some traditions, really kind of welcome the harshness in a way, and I'm not about that. I'm not going to mention any names, but I know that, and I feel like, it can all be lined with love, and that even in our fear and terror, you know, if we feel like, if we can feel the container of love, then we can go through anything, you know, and the love can be there. Yeah, and I've experienced both sides of that. I've experienced where there was no container for years. But that had to happen in order for me to connect with the feminine container in the Great Mother that has been severed from our consciousness here. She's the container for all of us. And when we realize that that container is here, and not just realize it intellectually, but feel it, you know, feel it viscerally in our body, feel the guides of light, you know, feel the consciousness of the trees, of the plants, of the earth, feel the gravity, feel the vibrational frequencies, which are all sound, by the way. When we feel that, then we can feel safe. So it's not like we have to imagine the safety. It's like a felt experience. And I hope that today that you've been able to have a visceral experience of that, because that's what the feminine is all about. It's like it's here. It's not just an illusion in our head. It's not a concept. It's really who we are. It's really right here. We just have to kind of awaken to that, right? To the subtleties. And in order to awaken to the subtleties, it's almost like we have to dissolve the veils little by little that are in the way, because that's right here, right now. That's the reality, even of this world, even in all of the craziness that we see. There's also beauty. There's also love. And we are here to actually activate that love, right? Because in the world, it has to come through humans. You know, it's coming, you know, it's like, what are we anchoring here? What are we resonating with? Whatever we're resonating with is what we're also transmitting. Whether we're a healer or whether, you know, we work in front of a computer, it doesn't matter. We're transmitting that wherever we go. It's like it's our field, you know? And that's attracting more of whatever we're transmitting. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because that's, you know, that's important. And thank you, because, you know, most people don't like to go there. And that's also when we talk about, most people, like 80%, I think is now the figure, which is outrageous, feel anxiety. Well, what do you think anxiety is? It's like a hijacked nervous system that's in the fight or flight. You know, well, what's the core, you know, reason for that? You know, there's yeah. So we could just go through it through our anxiety, you know, and
Carry on. That's scary.
Sorry, you broke up, or maybe it's me. I'm not sure.
Oh, I was just saying, anxiety literally is all the trauma that we have carried from the past, and it's triggered.
Yeah. Yeah, and because we don't process it, most of us, maybe some of you do that are here still, but, you know, oh, it says my internet is unstable. Because you don't process that, then it's got to come out somewhere, you know, and in the body, and it's usually anxiety or depression or, you know, or we shut it down somehow. So, yeah. Well, thank you. I'm well aware of the time. So I want to say thank you to all. Thank you for staying a little bit longer. I hope that you can join me, that you feel called to join our 5-week program. If you have any questions, you can email me directly. Yeah, and thank you very much for this time. It was very beautiful to go into these embodied rituals and these activations with all of you. I could feel your hearts. I could feel your lights. A lot of strong light here. Yeah. So thank you all for coming. Yes. Thank you. Many blessings. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.